Okay, so I'm going to just check and see that everything's okay. Let's see. And then we'll formally roll the show out in just a second. Woo! Big energies. Big energies.
Huge.
Yeah. Huge is right.
My body is shaking.
Mine is too. We had a huge experience last night, and we both woke up with this electricity just running through our bodies. And yeah, there's no coincidences. Okay, let me just check the sound.
Oh,
Sounds good. Let me just share this to a couple of the groups in our network. Got 8 people in the house: Neva Shaw, John Kennedy, Sandra Petty. A couple of new names here. Got 15 people. They're coming. It takes about 30, 45 seconds. Let's spread this one out a little bit. This is a special show. Hopefully I won't just take off out of this chair like a rocket ship. If I do, you just keep going. Okay.
Yeah, so my working frequency activation, it seems to start to naturally lift frequency. Yes.
Okay. So we got quite a few people in the house. Let me say some quick hellos. Aline from Stavanger, Norway. I said Neva Shaw, how you doing? Donna Turner, good to see you. Heather Houston, Brent Ritchie, Belinda Frank, Liv Fouché, Don Hilliker. They're coming in fast. So let me just say this. For those of you, there's some new faces out there. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Todd Medina. I'm with the Soulogy Network. We've been in business 7 years, and just walking this road with everybody else in this transition. This is our primary show, which is called Soul Speaks 5D. It's a conversation with Anrita Melchizedek today. Thank you for coming, Anrita. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence and spending and sharing space with us today. It really is an honor.
Thank you, Todd. It's wonderful to connect with you too. Thank you, Precious Heart.
You know,
I can feel those energies, feel those coming together in that unified field of divine love, and really just that increased frequency you've been talking about, really these portals and gateways opening and the experiences that you're having. And this week for me, I've been experiencing so much around the crown chakra and the third eye and just these incredible pulsations. And so much is really going on, not only energetically through the crown and third eye itself, but it's the hypothalamus and thalamus and pituitary and pineal and hormones and, everything just shifting within the body, just supporting a new level of our bodies as temples of light. So, and this comes on the tail end, of course, well, actually it's heading into the solstice, but on the transmission that Sandra Walter and myself put together this weekend heading into the solstice. And it was just quite an incredible transmission of the templates, the new templates coming online. And those templates are the crystal, not only the crystalline consciousness, but the actual crystal frequency igniting into the diamond light frequency within the crystal heart of Mother Earth and within her light body, but also the diamond light frequency spiraling forth from the cosmic heart of Mother, Father, God, and bringing new geometries online. So as we're heading into the solstice, so much is about DNA activation, new templates, new codes, new ways of being, higher dimensional octaves, holding that energy, and of course through that into expansion, great expansion of our own creative gifts and new levels of manifestation. And also for me, what I was experiencing was a deepening sense of joy. Yeah. I don't know if you've been having that, but our life as light workers has been hard, hasn't it? Because we are such courageous souls, and we choose to come down here not only taking on the calm of humanity, but we've taken on just so many of our own challenges to remember and know ourselves as love. And while we're clearing those remnants at a cellular level as we accelerate into the next level of our souls blossoming, it hasn't been an easy time. And what I found for me for a very long time was, the joy. It was just the joy wasn't there. The service was there, the dedication, the commitment. No one, I don't think it really doubts us when we're here in service. There's no doubt we're here in service. But it's finding not only that flow that's accelerating into new ways of being for all of us, and also hearing and listening to the universe as everything draws closer. I don't know if you're experiencing that too, just this perceived sense of everything talking.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible way of how our own light bodies are expanding, and we're expanding into the unity grid. And so nature intelligence and nature spirit intelligence, and whether it's from the crystals right through to the elementals, right through to the animals, and of course the plants itself, all of that is just talking in a new way. And with that too, then these templatings that are coming online are greater levels of joy and harmony and peace. And this template of joy was activating for me last night. So it was these little chuckles and giggles and so much of this inner child coming up, but just such a relief too. Here we are, unicorns and fairies,
Yeah. You said it a minute ago. I mean, it seems to me that reverb will go. But anyway, you said, we were on this journey. We were on this journey for so long, and it was just like, it was work, and it was like in the I don't want to say the payoff, but the reciprocation you just kept listening to that voice and having to move forward. But something has changed in the last, 2 or 3 weeks, and like you're saying, it's like every day it just grows exponentially. I took a walk this morning right before the show to go get a sandwich. And we're staying in a hotel in the middle of a place we don't know. And I swear I walked right out the door, and because all you got to do is look. And I looked up at the sky, and I saw something. I can't put it into words. I heard these birds go off. I said, go this way. I went this way. I walk into this beautiful little deli. I get 2 sandwiches and a tea for $9. And it's like homemade, like a gift. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, this is like, what's going on here? But it's like you said, it's like everything is flowing. If you just look at it, it's there, right?
Yeah, you're talking about increased levels of intuition and manifestation. And I've certainly seen that so much in my own life, because I think so much of that energy that we came from the expression of the light worker and what were our gifts and what were our passions, that's all coming online in a new way. So it's not so much sort of saying, okay, this is what I'd like to do, rather than you just hearing the calling from the universe, and all those gifts and skills are already there, and they're accelerating and expanding. And for me, I've always had this gift of healing, but it's just expanding into so many different ways of working, including making up a whole incredible angelic infusion, essential oil blends of different ranges for these templates that we're actually talking about: the joy, the abundance, the harmony, the peace, the love, and finding a new way into communicating with the body. But what has also been different in this flow of the templatings coming online is that there isn't really the need to say, okay, what should I be doing next? Because for a large part, we'd say, okay, well, what is my purpose and passion? For a very long time, people were saying, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What am I here to do? And in fact, many may still be experiencing this. This is part of the path that we move through, realizing at some point it's actually not an outward journey. It's an inward journey of not only greater levels of our own authenticity and expression of that, but also it's just what makes our heart sing. Because if we're going to be successful and manifesting through the pathway of divine love, through whether you want to call it the new earth frequency or the 5th dimensional templating, it really comes first and foremost from what do we love doing.
Right.
And once we figured that out from a sense of what brings us passion, then we just gather momentum into that particular direction or area. And it's at that point, then we don't have to be thinking, what should I be doing next? Because the moment we start to push ourselves to, okay, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or this is the way that I need to make money, we're no longer listening to the universe.
Yeah.
And the universe has a plan for us. Our own soul has a plan for us, and life has a plan for us. So it's really more than anything just stepping back and saying, I'm completely abundant. It doesn't matter, in terms of a bank account level at this stage. Of course, we're clearing on different levels there, but it's just a recognition that the universe always has your back. How can the universe be? And so much of this thing comes back into trust and surrender. So this is such a huge one, is, through our own experiences that we've had and what we're still clearing at a cellular level, because many of us as the Light Tribe have worked with so many of these clearings. So there is such a huge level of knowing and experiencing ourselves as love, but it's those cellular memories. I'm talking about the trauma that's still being cleared, that whether we call that, washing out the negative ego, that's, or cleansing at that cellular level, those false beliefs and judgments. That's really the last, I feel, aspect that is being cleared for us to completely align to the divine and hold that frequency as consciousness observing unconsciousness, as the flames of divinity that we are upon this sacred earth. So that's why that part is accelerating. We're still, some are experiencing perceived challenges or finding, new ways of rebalancing through everything that's going on around us. So this is really what's happening now, is that it's just new gifts and skills coming online, new templatings. And one of those templatings for me, this acceleration of consciousness or deeper level of soul merging occurred for me last year, August, September. Following that, I think it was just an incredible, powerful moment in time when we had the eclipse energy and we had the stargates opening, and it was just, wow. I just, there I was in my body, and I hadn't been completely in my body. And as those fusion into the soul consciousness, the monadic aspects, the beloved I am presence merging into physical form, deepened, and those blueprints came online, those templates. It was also recognition of not only our gifts and how that is, moving into different arenas and expanding and such incredible things, but also looking from a business perspective. It was, here we are as light workers, and this is really, I feel like, an important comment to bring across, because for so many years we've just been of service, and I see it with you, Todd, and I see it with myself, or saw it with myself at that time, that we didn't question the universe in terms of, okay, well, where's the next level of financial abundance coming through, because there was always something that was supporting us. But it really wasn't the templating that allowed us to experience the greatest levels of manifestation, because so much of our energy was focused on one thing. And if we imagine ourselves, which we are, as a spiritual business, there's so many different elements that we're bringing together to create that template of success. So for me right now, so much of my work is coming through from what are the formulas of success. So this is really just a kind of quite a lovely way to be working, because it's like, oh, okay, I need to add this ingredient. I need to add that ingredient. And I know that we've been speaking about this for so long, or we say, okay, we talk about formulas, but really in the newer templatings, the first thing that we need to do after finding our passion is actually just allow the universe to guide us, because those downloads are coming online. And as those downloads then activate, it's like you just have suddenly this inspiration of, oh, yes, that's an incredible idea. Or the next one, oh, yes, that's an incredible idea. And that's really how I live my life, in not worrying, what am I going to do next month or the month after? Or should I consider doing this, or should I consider doing that? I just sit back in co-creation to the universe, the energy of my higher self and beloved I am presence, and see what has been expressed in co-creation, because that's really all that we need to do.
Because that itself is what starts it, And I think another way to look at it is like we've been going through this because Morgan came from Australia. We were at a Divine Conscious Union ceremony last week, and our first big event with Soulogy, and now we're in a hotel and we're moving around, and so all that stuff is out here. And the minute we started to look at, oh, wait a minute, we got to think about this. Then it starts to block. So we said, well, wait a minute, let's play to our strength. Let's consciously create together. This is our strength. This is why we're here. And then it's like taking a big exhale. And like you said, everything just starts to flow. It's new for us, though. It's new for all of us. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is just getting used to it. I keep making the joke when I see people that we've had these relationships on the internet, and like you're poking them in the shoulder saying, is it really you? Are we really sitting here together, But it's really happening. And that's what seems to be different these last 2 or 3 weeks, is that everyone is starting to say, yes, it's really, really happening. This is the real deal. This is it. It's not coming. It's here now.
Yes, and this also was such an important, what you're saying is probably the most important thing that we can understand, because for so long we were talking about the experience of the new earth. We were, talking about how we're going to just be living in peace and harmony, and how life itself is going to express itself from the highest aspect, not only for ourselves, but for all of humanity. And actually we're living that to a large degree. So where we're still experiencing the rebalancing is in embracing the wounded soul aspects of ourselves that are the cellular memories that take us out of that perceived sense of knowing or wisdom or trust. It's the little voice that's coming up that we still are working with through whatever those false beliefs are that are being cleared, that it's I don't have enough, or I feel stressed, I need to make money, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that, all these things that we perceive we need to be doing, then we're not actually just sitting in the heart of the universe, being divinely guided. And it really is taking such a big leap of faith. I know for me, when I was, for many years, actually, as you know, my work, possibly a little bit of it anyway, I was a channel for plus years, and that's really what I did, and I loved it. And in my own way, I felt I was pretty successful with that. And then when I went through the soul merge and coming fully into my body, I call it coming home, just being fully present in this moment. All that too is just one aspect of that accelerated level of consciousness, isn't it? It's this physical ascension process now that many of us are moving through. But there was that point where it was the need to step back, to have a look at where I am, who I am now, because we're going through so many shifts and changes. And in that, then it was several months before I could come back with a perceived sense of how I would like to bring together all those understandings and share that and take it out in a new way. So that was a real leap of sort of trusting the universe that that the abundance will be there, that what I needed to be or do next would appear. And I think that's so much part of what's happening to so many of us, is that we're expanding or we're shifting into new passions, new creative ways of being. And it's just releasing the fear and also the taking a leap of faith, because this is really, as we take that leap of faith, that we're being caught in the wings of the angels, and they're saying, we're here, we've always been here, beloveds, and trust in us and let us guide you. And this is a co-creation. At this point, there isn't that place of, well, let me ask for that assistance outside of myself. It's just the intuitive knowing that expands from with that soul light within. And it's just such an exciting time if we think about it.
Yeah, it really is. I'm having, I was just doing some backup here. We had some technical difficulties, but everything's good. Everything's good on your end, Anrita?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, the other thing too is it's like, if I just look at things over the last, we met a lot of people that came around from around the country to participate in this event and our union. And I've gone through a lot of different people over the last, 20 months, 24 months, traveling the country, met people. And I've seen this constant increase in awareness and recognition within ourselves. And what's happening now, it's like the human is fully integrating, and you're seeing, you were talking about it earlier, the physical aspects, the things that your body's going through. People are going through different things that shows up different ways with different people. And then also this whole letting go thing, you just said, taking that leap of faith. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the most important thing. What are your thoughts on that, the leap of faith?
Well, more than anything, it really is, again, how much can we trust? So it's how much of those cellular memories or traumas that we are still stuck in either imprintings or clearing or just being love. So part of it is courage. It's really just saying, I'm going to do this. I believe in myself. So there's so many underlying issues that, are still coming through there, because I think part of that old matrix, then we were still comparing ourselves to one another a little bit, and, or wishing, I wish I could do what that person does, or, I wish I could have their life or whatever it may be, just having these comparative measures with one another, because essentially it all comes down to the recognition of our own magnificence, our own worthiness, our own light. And when we realize how worthy we truly are and how magnificent we all are, and the changes that we are collectively creating upon the sacred earth as we touch the hearts of one another. And this really then just accelerates not only our own soul growth, but allows us to truly hold ourselves as the flames of divinity. And when we're in that place, then we're unstoppable, because there's no doubt. There isn't that perceived sense of, well, am I on the right path or not? Because doubt is what stops that faith. And when we take that leap of faith, then we're saying every subatomic particle of my beingness experiences and understands and knows that I am love. And in that experience, I'm going to just allow whatever unfolds to unfold. And if it's not how I would like it, it's to recognize that life too has its own plan for me. And it's not always about what I would like, but it's about what accelerates my soul's highest growth. And with the service work, what accelerates the highest growth on the sacred earth. So for a very long time, we were waking each other up as light workers, way showers, star seeds, earth seeds, gatekeepers, grid keepers. And so much of this work then that we've been doing, working with the DNA activations and the geometries and the numerologies and even all the crystals and essences and all these incredible modalities and healing frequencies and illumined beings, that's really just been, I think, for many of us, our family, which it is. We are family to one another because we understand each other and we've had many similar experiences multidimensionally. So this is what unites us in community and unity. And though we still have to walk part of that journey on our own, and that then is the aspect of that first level of taking that leap of faith after that awakening process and just going deeper each time, because as we go deeper, then what happens often is very deep challenges or traumas are experienced, because it's the trauma that opens the heart, isn't it? It's the very deep challenges that allow us to understand the full range of human emotion. And how can we truly understand someone's pain or loss unless we've experienced absolute devastation in our own lives? Not only because that's how humanity chose to experience the school of learning and how we've learned best, but actually, even as the light, we sometimes still choose these experiences. And not because we need to from a karmic perspective, but in flashing out the cellular memories into truly being holding the essence of divinity within every subatomic particle of ourselves. We can choose these lessons. So the fifth dimensional laws become a little bit funky, because it's not so much about, I'm attracting you to me because we're playing out these roles together in reflection. It's more refraction, actually. It's more just light frequency bouncing off. Then there's still something here I need to see or learn. Although some, of course, still are having those experiences. For many light workers, life is much more in balance with harmony and gentleness and a flow. And when those lessons come, it's because it's still part of what we are clearing at a cellular level, or essentially because in the accelerating of our own soul's growth through that perceived trauma or challenge, we've just opened our hearts even deeper. So when we've experienced that, though, it's not always comfortable, and it's not only about embracing then what is uncomfortable and accepting it and loving it, loving the sadness, loving the fear, loving the pain, embracing it, honoring it, and even celebrating it for what it's taught us or teaches us to know ourselves as love. But sometimes then we're reluctant. I know for me there was an initial reluctance, because it's like through my own trauma, and like so many of us, I went through some very deep things. I can actually say what I experienced was completely devastating. It shook me to my core. What happened to me in 2012 absolutely devastated my life and pulled me apart in the forced separation of my children for 3 years when they were very young, when they were 3 and 5. But that lesson at a soul level is what completely transformed me.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, I got my children back 3 years later. And the work that I did with them has actually created a whole series of angel tools for parents and children. So, of course, these lessons are chosen at that higher light level, but the trauma of some of that remains, and that's what we're clearing. But we can still experience not only sadness, and this has been my own experience, but joy simultaneously and in larger quantities too, or loss and pain and happiness and so many other of these emotions with love and togetherness and community and unity. So it's all sort of comes together in just recognizing all is divinely perfect, and everything that we experience is simply to be embraced, and with that, to surrender to the divine, to the will of God.
Yeah. And again, there's you put this all so perfectly. I mean, this is a great description. I noticed when I went to your stuff last night, you were born awake, and your story seemed to be very similar to a lot of the ones that I've come across where you went through these traumas around 2012, which is what you just said. And so a lot of people, I think, are getting past all that, like you're talking about. You're seeing the value of it. You're seeing the purpose of it. But you've got to embrace that fear, that trauma, and all that, because we can't divorce ourselves from any aspect of the universe because we contain it all. At the same time, you're starting to have people that are having, I would say, face-to-face confrontations, not confrontations, but face-to-face communion with their multidimensional aspects and other multidimensional aspects. Are you seeing more and more of that as well in the circles that you run in?
Well, every one of the light tribe is quite connected, I feel, interdimensionally. So my path initially was actually just in my early and mid-20s, was through the reconnection to the star councils. And that for me initially was with the Pleiadians and then the Sirians and then Andromedans and the Arcturians. And later I became an emissary to many of the star councils. But I was also from the beginning connected quite deeply to the angelic realms. And all those energies are quite different in what those core groups bring and share with us. And I still have such a deep love for all those core groups. In my journey, it was, for a very long time, I would connect my energy to those core groups and bring through, because my work was largely frequency activation. So I would take you high. We would travel through the stargates and dimensions. And that work is so important, not only in igniting our own dormant DNA and bringing on those light codes and traveling the stargates and working with the grids and incredible and important work right now. For me, though, my work shifted into coming just into the physical body a lot more, but all those multidimensional realities are so much part of my reality, as well as, I can just sit, I can just tune in, take a breath, feeling what's going on a planetary level as an empath, energetically sensitive soul that many of us are too. And from that breath and energy, just feel what's going on around the earth plane, but also feel what is happening at that stargate level, what is being experienced through many of the core groups, through the rays of creation, through the geometries, through, all these incredible frequencies. What is the main sort of energy being experienced? Because we were all feeling that, not only individually, as we know, but collectively. So that's always going to be part of my reality. My work is focused a little bit more now on expanded levels, and one is the healing level and working at the body, but it will always be also connected into the unity grid and the crystalline grid. And in some places it might be again experiencing so much what's going on in the multiverse, and then coming back and bringing that back to a subatomic particle level within the body, as the body itself is talking, because what's happening now is the body is talking. Right. And when I came into my body as well, because these experiences are incredible, that we would go on and travel dimensionally, but you're still at a place where you're a little bit out there, and now it's coming in again. It's coming in within the heart of love and expanding it from within to hold that frequency, to be consciousness observing unconsciousness. And to be consciousness observing unconsciousness, we have to be fully grounded and centered and within our body. That is how then we have those moments of seeing what we're still shifting and changing, but also there's a flow for us, that we're moving slowly and gently throughout our day, that not only are we in the high vibe, but our environment is in this high vibe. Around us, the whole energy, we're just keeping our own energy high. So even though you're in this hotel, if you come with crystals and bring in white sheets and wrap the hotel in white sheets or violet flames, and bring in some lovely spray energies in your frequencies, so you're amplifying the frequency around you as well as with your own frequency, which is of course the portal or beacons of light at that particular place that you're going to. And when I look at your energy tugs, there's a little bit of Turin and Andromedan. I see there too, the star traveler, because the star travelers are the galactic travelers. They're moving from place to place, not only bringing together the community, but also to be sharing their light at those particular levels. And, this work is ongoing. So whether we take whatever passion at that moment and experience an aspect of it, in this case, you're doing the community expansion of coming together and finding voices and sharing that energy of love, or whether we're doing it through planting crystals in the ground or creating crystal grids or connecting through the ability to channel and receive information from these core groups and lift people to those frequencies through DNA activation, light body activation. It doesn't really matter what we're doing, because we are multidimensional and we always will experience ourselves at that level of multidimensional consciousness. But because for me, being such a spiritual being and coming through really quite aligned and spiritual from a very early age, coming through to a family where I grew up chanting Sanskrit and meditating and experiencing many of the Eastern philosophies, and also experiencing a more sort of traditional Christian upbringing too. And in my early 20s, I just took myself through this whole path of Buddhism and Hinduism and Judaism, and I found very quickly to just find a way that worked for me, and accelerated very quickly from a spiritual perspective. So the grounded practical aspects for me was not something that I experienced with ease. The ability to communicate clearly and to be around with others was something that took me a long time to be comfortable with, because for many light workers and star seeds in particular, there's an initial perceived sense of feeling alien, of feeling not only unseen or unheard or unappreciated, which is part of those core lessons that we experience along the karmic timelines, but feeling different. So in that difference or energetic sensitivity, you don't often feel you have your voice initially. This is the initial part of a journey, although there is the joy often in that reconnection. Or you may take yourself out of society a little bit, because it's just you're energetically quite sensitive, and the sensory system and central nervous system goes into overload with a lot of what is being experienced from a three-dimensional perspective. So there's many that do the journey in whatever way. I know for me, my communion with the divine came about primarily through my connection to the star councils and the angelic realms. So they were my first family. The Christed ETs and the angels were the family that I would chat to for hours and hours. So I didn't feel the need for human contact, but I needed that lesson of what it was like to be in communion with another. I needed that lesson of what relationships were like, so I could see what I still had to learn and know and experience in that coming together in reunion of hearts. And for many of us, we felt dismally the first time or two or three, because it was very unfamiliar. And, then eventually, as what's happening now, is we move much deeper as these open hearts into really just holding the flames of love through the soul groups, and we are just bringing in the soul brothers and sisters and soulmates, which is just so incredible. And I wanted to say too, congratulations. By the way, you're saying that you and Morgan had this reunion of hearts and spiritual marriage, which is so really wonderful. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was and has been and is incredible. It really is, because we've had such a. She's been here. This is the second time. It's about 9 weeks, and we've had some incredible communions together with physical materialization of Star Family and of our aspects. We had one, I think, last night. I can't keep track of time anymore, but it's just all moving so fast. It's so beautiful, and you've been doing this for so long. What does it feel like, from your perspective, to see what's happening now on such a wider and wider scale with everybody?
It's very exciting. For a long time, again, that perceived sense of doing it on your own was really what we were all doing. We were connecting on the inner planes so very much, and that was wonderful. But on the outer planes, it was just very small groups, or, we would connect through whatever it might be, workshops or events. But then you'd go back into your life where, you're still working on whatever level with those clearings and reflections. And now really it's not only accelerated, the energy of the earth, Mother Earth, Gaia, has ascended. So we are experiencing so many of those codes through the light body, those templatings within our own bodies ourselves. But actually so many of these stargates and portals and vortices and light rays of creation spiraling forth from the cosmic heart of God onto the sacred earth, and all that's happening within Mother Earth herself in this communion of hearts with all of us, is we're experiencing communication on a cosmic level. Yeah. So not only are we coming together in just like, I see you, I recognize you, I hear you, brother or sister. Mm-hmm. But what we're doing too is that we're actually choosing to come together physically. Yeah. And so much more in terms of not only waking each other up now, because we've done that pretty successfully but in waking the world up. And, just putting ourselves out on those platforms in every way that we've got a voice, and finding that voice to share in whatever way it is, because that's what's really happening right now, is that it's a time of using our voice to create and affect change. Yeah. So it's quite an exciting level in terms of the coming together of the light tribe, a lot more. But energetically, it's just so much going on too, with so much light activations and increased frequencies and codes. Just an incredible and marvelous time. So more than anything, I'm just really excited. In fact, I just get so inspired. I'm so inspired and passionate about life. And I never used to always be, because even though I loved my work and what I did for so many years, I'm a single mom with 2 beautiful kids who are 9 and 10 now. But part of that becomes then, I need to work, isn't it? I need to work. If I'm not working, I'm not making money. And that, of course, isn't our focus, as we know, as light workers, because our focus is always just to serve. But from a practical perspective, it's like we've got to pay our rent at the end of the month and put food on the table, all those basic things. So there was for me at the end, there was a little bit of that pressure of I need to work, rather than, I'm so delighted and passionate about what I was doing. And then that was the moment of my shift. I went through this, I think about 6 or 7 days, where it was just such an interesting experience, because I felt one with everything, and yet all those voices were actually disappeared completely. It was like I was everything and nothing at once. It was like this void, but being everything and nothing. And it was such an interesting place to be in. And from that, then it's just boom, the soul consciousness just activated into being fully grounded of, okay, here we are. We're here. We've reached it. We've done what we need to. Yeah. So now it's just a case of just allowing that flame of love to ignite into whatever level of passion, because there's no longer then the need or perceived sense of, what do we do now? Right. What should we be doing? Or how should we be working? It's like just the time is found for absolutely everything that we need to do. Yeah. And with that, the guidance is always there, and the universe is always supporting. And when we can just know that, no matter what we're still working on, we will just find our way to always be completely abundant on every level of our beingness, and to hold the flame of love within our loving hearts always and eternally. So it's just a shift in consciousness. But for me, that shift in consciousness took me out of a way that I was working into a completely different flow of or way of working. And that way of working for me is just inspiring and passionate and so connected. It's like, we would talk about that, go outside and actually smell the roses, but quite physically, just feeling, sensing, and experiencing the energy of the roses. For example, being thinking of someone and being able to transfer the consciousness or vibration of that rose to the energy of that person that comes to mind because they need it. The same way that we would take, create flower and gem essences. And I will just think of like a flower or a gem or something, and the person that comes to mind that might need that frequency, they come to mind, and I just energetically send it to them, knowing that it's been received. So much of this work is going on through greater levels of accelerated levels of consciousness that bring through many of those extrasensory perception gifts.
Yeah.
So we talking to each other. Of course, we've been communing on the inner planes already, and even as you mentioned, when we came together initially, it was like just an explosion of increased light because we've already been connected at that higher light level.
Yeah.
When we made that first contact to come together, but this is for every single one of us. And so at this point now, in coming together, so much of it is fusing through the multidimensional timelines into this now with increased levels of gifts and skills. So the telepathic communication is such a huge one. You're thinking of someone, and it's like there they are. They've sent you the email, or they've connected with you on one of these platforms, or they don't even need to. You have a conversation. I can't even say how many conversations I've just had energetically. A two-way conversation.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, so many of the people that I'm working with, because you would think, you're going to launch this 24-hour, 7-day a week, multiple channel, and you got to do this, you got to do that, and it just doesn't work. It's like we don't even have to have a conversation. I said to the IT guy when I saw him the other night, for the first time, I said to him, "Hey, we're gonna set this thing up." Now I was speaking as a human, something that I felt like I needed to convey, but he said what I had been thinking in the first place. He said, "We already did it." And I said, "Yeah, we did." So it's done. It's like you were saying earlier, you just, the minute you think about it, it's already done. It's just a matter of playing out. The other thing I love what you said was, you said you did all this work in your 20s and then so on, and now you're like bringing it down to the human. Like that's what I see happening too, is that we're actually no longer just a human being. We're this divine, multidimensional human being. The human is the gift. This is the gift, right?
Yes. And so for a long time, it's not even discomfort, it was awkwardness. That's probably a good word. It was the awkwardness of being in form, because the form was awkward for us, wasn't it? And then of course, with everything that was being experienced in a bombardment of sensory overload and frequency and not being able to make sense of it, so many of us shut down the emotional body. And that's how we had to open it again through trauma. But also what it did then was not only this physical discomfort, but for many of us, physical dis-ease with that discomfort. And that now what is happening, because we're recognizing the body as our temples of light, and we're starting to tune into the body consciousness, what is happening is that there's a process of cellular regeneration that's actually taking place within the physical body as we know ourselves as these flames of divinity through the physical body, which we call the temple of light, or the light body. We can call it, whether we call it the I am avatar light body or the diamond light body, it's really all the same things. So the first part of our journey is a spiritual ascension journey. And that's really was a huge part of my work for so very long, and will always remain a huge part of my work. But the focus now for so many of us is on the physical ascension journey. So when I can put it into my body as one aspect of consciousness along so many other levels that are still to be experienced, what I realized for myself was that my physical body was in a great level of discomfort through my own unique experiences to know myself as love, that there was a great level of work that I needed to do at a physical level. And yet that was the last level for me. that I had come into. So the first thing I want to say to so many people is, if your own body is in physical discomfort or dis-ease, that doesn't mean that you're not going through this ascension process. What it means is we now have the skills to actually experience through the subatomic particles of crystalline consciousness within the body at a physical level, the rejuvenation and regeneration of our body parts and organs, because that is what is being experienced, and I'm experiencing it myself at a subatomic particle level. So you can be very sure we're all experiencing it. The axonal lines that lie along the acupuncture meridian lines are activating and igniting, and it's the same within the light body of Mother Earth, within her light grids. All of this is being experienced, and all these, not only these templatings, but now we're moving into the body parts, the organs. We're moving into to all the glands. We're moving into the hormones, and everything that is shifting and changing is actually just bringing the codes of unity consciousness online. Yeah.
I was going to say, now, as this is happening to all of us anyway, or do we need to be conscious of it from our own center of the universe ourselves? Do we need to consciously try to do this?
No, well, of course it is all happening, but but like everything, when we bring our focus to something, we can accelerate it depending on what we ourselves are focused on. That's really where we are going to create the biggest level of change, or where the biggest level of change needs to be created. Because sometimes we could be going through something, but we don't want to experience it, or it's just too uncomfortable, or we put it away, or we block it off for a while until we're ready to, I know even with me, when I went through this just incredible devastation of the loss of my children, the temporary loss of my children, and they were so young. It was so heartbreaking. It was such an incredible loss that at the beginning part, although I just could feel the energy of all these incredible light beings, and I knew at some level I had chosen it.
Yes.
I was just still stuck initially in that victim persecutor consciousness, because it was just such an incredibly hard lesson. And it took me some time to move through that. And then as I did, things became more graceful and easier, but it took a long time. It took a long time, I think, when we experience such deep levels of our own heartbreaks and traumas to, just find that renewal of one's heart's love. So, but this is happening, absolutely, Todd. It's happening for all of us. And I think it's wonderful. It's really wonderful that it's happening. So there's just choices in, what lifts our frequency, what brings our frequency down. So there's no judgment in any of it. In my past, I smoked, whenever it was, because that was my way of grounding. That was probably, some time back, but that doesn't matter. I went through that experience, or, in my early 20s, drinking, or whatever it was, or later sugar addictions, or, the Netflix rather than the videos. It's like we pass through all these addictions, or these are just ways that we need to either slow down our growth for whatever reason, because there's still things that we can't completely process, or it's just a way for us to actually just say, I'm not quite ready for that next level. But then life just comes anyway, and at some point we either just got to embrace it, or we can say, okay, I'm still stuck wherever I am, but life is still happening. It's going to take us there, whether we're shouting, screaming, in incredible pain, or we say, let me go graciously and by the grace of God.
Let go or be dragged.
That's it. I say, let go, let God. Yes.
Yeah, that's that old Zen proverb. That's interesting too, because I hear my body telling me things like, I smoke, and I'm smoking less, and my body's telling me you're not going to be doing this much longer. And the way you put it, putting stuff off, I think that's I can feel that. I resonate with that, and a few other things I eat, things I consume, habits I have. I feel it, and I see it in other people too. And it's like it's in more and more as we deny, it's in your face, whether it's a physical thing or whether it's something you don't want to face emotionally. I like what you talked about with how we emotionally shut down. We had these traumas reopen our hearts. I can totally identify with your journey vibrationally. It happened about the same time for me, and it took a long time, like you're saying. It took a long time to get back to it, but you were still connected at the spiritual level. I think that's another thing that people we're challenged with was the whole shadow work thing, but at the same time, you're connected at a higher level. It seems to be integrating now. There seems to be less emphasis on that inner work because so much of it has been done by so many.
And what's also interesting there, Todd, is, as you're talking about just the shift in consciousness that affects like what we eat or drink or our habits, is that actually from one day to the next actually just disappears. So many of it. It's like you no longer need this crutch. Or, let's say like you just more like eating chocolate or eating red meat. You just absolutely loved it. And then suddenly from one day to the next, it's like, I don't feel like this anymore. I don't want this anymore. So it's not even with difficulty that these old habits will fall away. It just is something that just occurs naturally because no matter in whatever place we are, we're experiencing the increased light frequency. So that light is still imbuing you and moving into every subatomic particle of your beingness. And no matter where you are or what you're doing, in terms of your eating habits or drinking habits or any other thing, that light is still being experienced through you and for you as this flame of divinity. And as it just increases, you're going to kind of find yourself changing those habits to align to their frequency quite naturally. So there is a point and place of all of that. And again, when we try to push it, all we're doing is we're stepping into either guilt or shame or blame.
Judgment. And I think that applies too for, even like, I know my family, which is common, I think, with a lot of light workers is, you were the black sheep, first of all, and I don't know. It's not like I have a lot of pain with the being disenfranchised from my family, but it just doesn't suit me, and it's nothing I think about. I don't judge it, and it's similar to that with other things that are happening and other aspects of my life, and what I see in other people too. I see the same thing happening. People making these life-changing decisions and walking away from things and doing it very comfortably or more comfortably as time has gone on, especially this year, especially this last 2 or 3 months. It seems to just be skyrocketing. Do you think that? Do you think, from your point of view, that we'll see many of us have had experiences where we've seen other dimensions, higher dimensions, manifest, materialize, and such? Do you think we'll see a collective in the near future with the way these things are occurring, the way these energies and everything is changing? Do you think we'll see a shared higher dimensional visual experience as we go forth?
Paul, we are in some way, because what's happening is that we connecting into what we call the group I am avatar consciousness of light. That's the higher light level, or or beloved I am presence of all awakened souls. So as more and more of us awaken, we connect initially at this higher light level and we start to exchange ideas. This is what brings on many of these new earth, whatever you would like to call it, new earth creations, let's call it that. So whether someone is deciding, okay, this is like a new earth educational system that we're going to be working with, or a new earth energy system, or a new earth political system or social system, or whatever it is, it's already been decided at that higher light level, and it's just been ground into the physical level as those souls at that higher light level that chose to be involved in it come together. They will find their way together. So you can be very much assured what we are experiencing then is just, we are already in another golden age. So there isn't, from my perspective, this earth and another earth and another earth. It's just the merging of all frequency into this reality of unity upon this sacred earth, where we are touching the hearts and minds of those souls still waking up, and in detachment, just observing where there is still that anger, that rage, that abuse, disempowerment, whatever it may be, and just sending our love. What happens is when we get ourselves emotionally involved in the lower frequencies, it's when we're still playing out and caring at that cellular level. But when we can just hold it in love, but accelerate to how can I best not only serve, but how can I assist others in being manifesting abundant co-creators. So that shift in consciousness then is a way that we start to see everyone as our brothers and sisters of the light, where there isn't that lesser than and better than consciousness, but it's also not about saying, oh, if you want to, I don't know, connect with me, you've got to give me $10,000. As a silly example. It's about sort of saying, we're here to support each other, and how can we best do that? But not just individually, now collectively. It's like people dreaming is coming into reality of unity and community, and this year is so much about that. You'll start to find, really, if you're in a place where you're a little bit stuck, is just put it out to the universe of drawing to you deeper levels of your soul family, because it's the soul family, the star family that's coming together in different ways of supporting each other. And one will have this gift and one will have that gift. And, you're just bringing it together. And more than anything, it's not taking advantage of each other in any way. It's about really how can I best assist and serve the light tribe? And how can I best assist and serve the sacred earth? And that's really where we come from, those hearts of purity. And with that then, it's like the architectural plans or the blueprints, the divine blueprints have already been created.
Yeah, I agree that. I love the way you say that. That's true. And the soul family, the soul tribe thing seems to really, really be coming into focus real fast over the last, and maybe it's just to my universe, but I have been doing this for 7 years. I have seen a lot of little soul tribes, forming around the world, and they don't have to necessarily be physically in front of each other, geographically in the same location, but there seems to be a more and more of an alignment with what you're calling soul family, star family. I'm seeing that.
And actually, more than that, what I'm seeing is just different ways we can serve without consciously saying, what should I do to serve? It's just, I notice in my everyday life, wherever I am, it's like before, possibly I would look around to kind of say, well, what can I do now to best assist? Or maybe I'm out somewhere in a gathering of just, let's say as an example in my life, like a parents' evening, with little kids in school and all these, parent community meeting as an example. And or you're somewhere that, you're not so familiar with the people. It's not your usual light tribe and it's not a meditation place, but you're really using from that perspective of, what can I do here? How can I help? And what I've noticed is that there isn't anything to do but to be, because people are just coming to you. They will just find their way to you, or you're walking past the chair as the person's falling off onto the floor and you're catching them. Or, you're the person that actually just brought all the extra plates. For some reason, it just popped into your head. Stick those plates in your bag, and off you're going to the picnic and find out that everyone had forgotten their plates or something. It's just such an interesting way of synchronicities. So synchronicities, the serendipity of this communion of hearts actually just says, not only is everything unfolding divinely perfectly, but actually it's just accelerating in just this incredible frequency of synchronicity and serendipity.
Yeah, I like what you say about the being conscious or consciously focusing on it. It accelerates it's accelerating what is happening anyway, but you can accelerate it, whether it be healing, whether it be community service, that type of thing, bringing people together, magnetizing people together. Yeah, I like the way you break that down, because that's being conscious of it is an accelerator and an enhancer. There's no doubt about it. And I think we're seeing those results now. We're seeing that reciprocation now. Going back to what you were saying at the top of the show, we're seeing that more now more than ever, and it's moving fast. It's moving so fast. What do you think we're in for with this period? We're coming from the solstice into another full moon.
Well, definitely it is the next level of activation through the dormant DNA. So, the dormant DNA is obviously spinning the subatomic particles to increase light frequency, but it's greater levels of remembrance. And the moment we're in that level of remembrance, we're drawing through all the golden ages and timelines of what those unique experiences are that we're now choosing through our future selves, rather than through the portals of golden ages of our past selves. So we're drawing to us now the accelerated consciousness of what we're co-creating upon this sacred earth through increased levels of our own gifts that are accelerating and coming online and grounding that. So what many of us are still going to be experiencing, whether we draw upon through the diamond light rays that are coming online at deeper levels. I've done a lot of work with that diamond light templating, which is really amazing, and also with the crystal consciousness and the light rays of creation and spiral force. So whether we use these energy systems and deepen into meditation with that and the templates, or whether we simply just join in the expression of connecting to the heartbeat of Mother Earth, it really is just bringing about just a deeper sense of joy and passion. This, for me, is what I feel more than anything right now as we're heading into the solstice energy on Thursday, Friday, is so much about just experiencing joy and experiencing that heartbeat of love, whether we find it in dance, in drumming, in movement, in the connection to the earth, through the crystals, through the dolphins, through the light rays, through the stargates, through the crystal grids. It's really less important to the feeling body that is expanding within us. So essentially, it's the diamond light body that is expanding. As our diamond light body expands into greater levels of communication, greater levels of experience of divinity is presented to us.
Wow. Yeah. So what are you doing for the solstice? Anything special?
Actually, I've got a couple of consultations planned, which is really nice for clients and myself, because I usually move into something in some form of transmission. Yeah. But also I am getting together with a couple of friends later that night. I do find those energies, because we all come together. I think I know we're so affected by planetary energies and all these incredible energies, but really at the time I think of, for us as light workers, the equinoxes and solstices, we all gather so very much and come together as a light tribe, as one unified cosmic heart. So we feel that through the gateways so much more. And it's really incredible and beautiful way to connect. I don't know what we can do. Maybe we have like 10 or 15 minutes, Todd, if we could move into a small transmission. What do you think, to just anchor a little bit of those solstice energies?
Absolutely. I think that'd be great. This has been the most challenging technical show I've done, I think. But I'm right there with you. But yeah, I think that's perfect. I was just looking at the notes, and that's where I was about to ask you. So let's do that. Please.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Just before that, are there any questions or anything that you'd like to?
From me, no, I'm good. I've been watching the comments as best I could, because I don't have my normal setup here. We had a little breakdown, but it's actually elevated my senses, and I think we're in the right path. I think this is a perfect time to do this.
All right, good, wonderful. So we can just all close our eyes for a minute, just see how we're feeling. And what has actually been experienced at the body too is just movement into the body. So just take a minute to just move your shoulders. And what I'm noticing with the crown chakra expanding in the third eye too, you might be getting a little bit of headaches, or, just feeling this pressure on the head. And with the trauma being cleared at a cellular level, or old cellular memories being released, at this time, a lot of this work seems to also be centered on the face. So just take a moment to pull some faces, just, have a sense of that, because the whole movement of our body is really just what's shifting for us right now. This is moving right down into the cellular level, just feeling this expansion. And as we're doing this, just taking a deep breath. Just feeling into how we're feeling right now. Just breathing in love. And for a moment, just breathing out all that is ready to be released right now. And whatever those frequencies are, whatever those stresses or tensions, and how it's affecting the body, just see yourself starting to move the body initially, just possibly starting with both the top of the body and the head and the neck area, because that's where we hold a lot of this tension. But also having a sense of how the body is seated and the feet on the floor connected into the energy of the earth, into the crystal heart of the earth, feeling that. And feeling too possibly the Kundalini energy as it's already igniting and activating for us. And while you're continue to move your body from side to side and backwards and forwards. Just having this sense and recognition of your own divinity. Just breathe in love. Breathe out all that is ready to be released. Breathing in initially through the nose and out through the nose or mouth. And now just breathing in love, holding the breath for as long as you can. And then breathing out all that is ready to be released. Just breathing in love, holding the breath and breathing out. And what you might find with that breath too is just this deep sense of release of old issues, of judgments, just allowing yourself to be in that place of moving and shifting out old energies and all that is ready to be released at this time. Breathing in love, holding the breath, breathing out all that is ready to be released. I'm going to take us into one of these diamond crystal templates, and this one will be abundance and manifestation, because this really is part of what we're experiencing now, greater levels of manifestation, of our hearts dreaming and joy, and what possibly might be blocking us. It's energetic, or physical, or cellular level of experiencing full heart's dreaming, the full passion and joy within our lives. As the body keeps moving from side to side, I'll start this invocation with just a light language transmission. So we just breathe in through the mouth as though breathing in through a straw, and blowing out to center our body and to align us into the cosmic heart of God and the crystal heart of Mother Earth. Inomosoana aki na kiono ko akina si aki akiono. Imosoa iakia. Inkagino ko akia. Emoso inkagino koa. I call upon the overlighting of Mother, Father, God, and all the illumined beings of light from on high I personally acknowledge. As I merge with my beloved, I am present, the highest light that I am, within the cosmic heart of God. And in this safe and sacred space, and I find myself merging and connecting with soul and star family and friends of the light. In this reunion of heart, coming together now with all those listening to this invocation, all those connected to me at a higher light level, to all those light workers, the light tribe, coming together as one unified cosmic heart, as we experience the solstice gateway as one heart, one unified field of light. And as I just take a moment to breathe into my body, to feel what I am feeling in this now, I have a sense of this beautiful diamond sphere of light ignite and activate around my body, 54 feet in diameter around me. And within this diamond sphere of light, of purity, of innocence, I have a sense of all the geometries of creation coming online through the unity grid of divine love, now through my own allowed body. Having a sense of the fruit of life within this diamond sphere of light, Metatron's cube, and all these geometries coming online, the sphere, bringing through this first diamond crystal template of forgiveness and love. Ignite and activate within Metatron's cube and around my body in this beautiful diamond light grid as each subatomic particle in my body deepens into this gateway of the solstice. I do so as this flame of divinity and this master being of light, walking the path of love as one unified cosmic heart, forgiving and loving, forgiving myself for imagining that I was anything less than love. Imoso ai kai nasi ai akio. Imoso in kaino koa. As I breathe in love, I hold my breath. I breathe out blame and unforgiveness. And now within this diamond sphere of light, 54 feet in diameter around me, I have a sense of the cube, which further ignites around my body as this diamond light grid, this multi-dimensional light grid, these laser lights that activate and ignite within every subatomic particle of my beingness, bringing online for me now the new earth, diamond crystal template 2, of power and strength. As I breathe in power and strength, I hold my breath and I breathe out all that is ready to be released at this time. The misprint and abuse of power. I am a powerful master being and co-creator to the divine, walking the path of the divine diamond, the path of love, with clear boundaries, deep levels of communication, the utterance of my spiritual reality, in the recognition that all is one and one is all. As I ignite these templates into the unity grid of Mother Earth, and within the hearts and minds of all awakened souls walking this path of love. And so it is, and so it is. Ino so ai kaino so ai akia. Ino so in kaino koa. And now within this diamond sphere of light around me, I have a sense of the third diamond crystal templates coming online through the sacred geometry of the tetrahedron as it ignites and activates now. As this diamond tetrahedron, 3 sides and a base around my body, bringing online the template of joy and happiness, knowing that I am deserving of joy, I am deserving of happiness, I am deserving of all of life's gifts, as this flame of divinity, as this child of God, as this new earth diamond crystal template ignites and activates within the light body of Mother Earth and within the hearts and minds of all awakened souls. Together we unite in this force field of light, of joy and happiness. And so it is, and so it is. In kono koina si aia kia, ino so, in kaino koa. As I continue to breathe in love, hold my breath and release all that is needing to be released. Breathing in joy, holding my breath and breathing out all that feels heavy, stressful, that creates a perceived sense of disillusionment in any area of my life. And now I have a sense of this fourth diamond crystal template igniting and activating through the star tetrahedron. Same sacred geometry I use to ignite and activate my light body as it brings online now deeper levels of passion and purpose. I visualize the star tetrahedron, this 6-dimensional 3-pointed star, ignite and activate as this diamond star tetrahedral grid around my body and now within each subatomic particle of my beingness and within and through my original divine Aesop blueprint. As I bring online greater levels of my gifts, I am inspired by life. I am passionate. I am listening to the universe and following my heart's dreaming and following my heart's joy. All is well. All is well. As I assist in anchoring and activating this beautiful template within this light body and crystal grid of Mother Earth, I further ignite this within the hearts and minds of all awakened souls and all of humanity, all those choosing this path of love. And so it is. Imoso ai naiki awono koahia. Imoso in kaino koa. And now I have a sense of this fifth template coming online. This new Earth Diamond Crystal Template 5 of abundance and manifestation through the shape of the octahedron. 20 faces of equilateral triangles. Igniting as this diamond octahedral grid around my body. This diamond icosahedral cap above and below my body, and all these equilateral triangles, 10 running around the body. I am offered this moment to completely trust and surrender to the divine, to know that I am worthy, that I am abundant, that I am a manifesting co-creator, and to bring online all the gifts and templates from a business perspective, a planetary perspective, through soul and star family, to deepen my manifestations through service in love. And so it is. As I now take this beautiful octahedral diamond template into the light body of Mother Earth and into her crystal braids, into the hearts and minds of all awakened souls. Inkoso aina siya, inkayino koa sinakia, imoso inkayino koa. I now experience this new Earth Diamond Crystal Template 6 through the dodecahedron. As it ignites into the dormant DNA, it starts to bring the DNA online to a new level through this solstice gateway. New gifts, new passions, new frequencies. This brings a deeper level of the knowing of my worthiness, of my magnificence, my light. Through this template of magnificence and worthiness. It just holds this knowing of how greatly I am appreciated, celebrated, and deeply loved. And all I need to do is trust and surrender to the divine. Take this leap of faith, being caught in the arms and wings of angels' love. Feeling, sensing, and knowing my magnificence through the energy of my own soul light, through my loving heart. Expanding now my soul energy in this brilliant diamond white light from the center of my chest as I deepen to the cosmic heart of Mother, Father, God, and into the crystal heart of Mother Earth. I take this new Earth Diamond Crystal Template and assist in anchoring and activating this template through the light body of Mother Earth, through the crystal beds of Mother Earth, and now into the hearts and minds of all awakened souls. And so it is, and so it is. Inoso ai kayino koa sinakia, imoso in kayino koa. And lastly, now I experience the new Earth Diamond Crystal Template of peace and harmony through the sacred geometry of the dodecahedron. As I have a sense initially of this beautiful diamond dodecahedron ignite around my body within this diamond sphere. And now into each subatomic particle of my beingness. And with this too, bringing online a deeper sense of serotonin, this brain chemical, assisting now to take me into the pathway of transcendence, into peace, into stillness, into 0 point. As I continue this deep rhythmic breath, breathing in peace and harmony, holding my breath, breathing out all that is ready to be released in us now. So just hold this energy for a moment through these diamond crystal templates and how we're feeling right now. As we experience this recalibration of the left and right hemispheres of the brain, the pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus, thalamus glands, ignition of all the glands through the chakras, external lines coming online, deeper levels of rejuvenation, regeneration, all the rays of creation, deepening into what we call the 18th ray of multi-universal Christ consciousness or Melchizedek consciousness, taking us into this diamond ray of purity and innocence. As we experience this purity and innocence within ourselves and within each subatomic particle of our beingness, while we ground into the crystal heart of Mother Earth. We suck in through the mouth as though sucking in through a straw and blowing out. Aligned and centered through the rainbow bridge, the Antakarana, this diamond light frequency, and into the crystal clusters and beds of Mother Earth. We hear and sense all that is talking to us through our own diamond light bodies at this time. As we create this toroidal field of light around our body, we hear the crystals talking, we hear the plants talking, we hear the stones talking. We hear each other in love, in unity. To the Christ and ascended timelines we enter, drawing to us our future selves, merging, integrating melodic levels of soul consciousness, merging into the light body of Mother Earth, to a unified field of love. Breathing in love now, breathing out love. No marolo no moshonaki ai no ai o no momare no marolo no makanergi Imo ai no mama malino no marolo no marolo le na ke na shino ko ai Inoso ai namasi aia inkayino koaya. I am grounded and centered and firmly in my body as this flame of divinity, as this master being of light, connected into the unified field of divine love through my diamond light body to all that is being experienced through this unified field of love, connected to all the awakened souls through the I am avatar consciousness of light, as one heart, as one unified field of divine unconditional love. I walk this path of love, knowing how much we are all celebrated, appreciated, and deeply loved. In my own time now, I gently come back into my sacred space, grounded and centered, opening my eyes and fully present in this now.
Wow.
So we can really just feel into what is going on so many different levels. And this is really just bringing it all in and feeling and sensing energy. And so much of this is coming from the feeling body. It's like, how am I feeling right now? How do I shift myself from one place to another? And how can I just do it not only graciously, but actually effectively and rapidly and hold that energy.
I don't know what that was. It was powerful. That was mind blowing.
Yes.
Incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My higher heart, I don't know what it's doing, but it's
everything is coming online right now because of the work that we've been creating here, and of course this is part of the work that I've been doing leading on from this telewebinar transmission into the solstice. So those templates are being laid and activated for so many of us, and that's just what you're experiencing now. And you will find it will continue to activate. I mean, it's actually taken me some hours to go to sleep, and I'm not sleeping so much at the moment because there's just so much going on energetically with all these geometries and frequencies, but just such a powerful time. So wonderful that we can experience these higher dimensional templatings of this new earth through this energy and coming together as love, and really a powerful one. And all we got to do is just hold that energy as the flames of divinity, and particularly through these gateways that we experience, because we're drawing to us now the energy of our future selves in co-creation.
That's amazing. Amazing. I will, I guess, let us know, how do we find you? It's the Pleiadians.net. What was the website?
Pleiadianlight.net.
Yes, I'm sorry. Pleiadianlight.net. And you have a YouTube?
Yes, I do. I have a YouTube channel. Yes, you can just put my name in. You'll find me.
Okay. I don't know if everyone's feeling like I'm feeling right now, but it's a beautiful thing. I'll post that stuff because I know people are going to be interested. They made some comments. Thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing that incredible activation with us. That was very, very timely. Serendipity and synchronicity, right?
as the flames of love, as the light tribe coming together, because apart from all of that, we're just really experiencing each other's energy. And I feel that too with all of us beloveds. I really am feeling that energy from those that are joining us and at that higher light level. So it's been so wonderful to connect with you too, Todd. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm really blessed that I was able to also watch a couple of your shows. So thank you so much for your incredible service, because really what you're doing is just bringing us all together, and that's an amazing, amazing gift. And I know sometimes with all our light work, there's just those moments where it's just nice to receive that appreciation, because it is just such an incredible gift, but also level of service that you're doing for all of us. So from my heart and from everyone here, we want to thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, and the best to you and your children, and hope to meet up with you again sometime and collaborate. If there's anything we can do for you at Soulogy, if you need to get any expanded awareness to anything that you're doing, or if I see anything that you're doing, we'll put it out through our network, and we're always at your service. And thank you for your service to humanity. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. All right. Okay. All right. Well, peace out today. I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, and Anrita. And we'll see you again soon. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.